Guy Carbonneau, man, and we've had him on too. So, and I'm sure you told the story, man, but you got to break it down for us. So he's your father-in-law. He's your teammate. When did you first spot his daughter? Who was the first teammate you told? And what was that initial conversation like with Guy? Did he make it awkward? Did he make it really comfortable right off the bat? Like, break that down for us.
Well, I've got my version. I'm sure he's got a different one,
Yeah.
but so I think the first time I ever saw her was we had the New Year's Eve party, possibly before that, but I was up. I think I was singing Guns N' Roses as a rookie. They made us get up and sing. The story they think I'm singing Ricky Martin. I don't think I've ever sang a Ricky Martin song. Wouldn't know one. But anyway, I got booed off the stage. She came up. I recognized her. Wow, she's pretty good looking. Who's that? The questions are asked. I said, it's your teammate's daughter. Okay, I'm not going there. I'm a smart enough teammate not to mess around with a teammate's daughter. I'll speed the story up. Well, there was certain barbecues, Carbo's birthday party, numerous times he's saying, getting a call here. My daughter's here. Why don't you say hi? My daughter's here. We're going to this restaurant after the game. Why don't you come? My daughter's coming. So it was almost giving me the okay. Fast forward the end of the season, we're at a big team meal in San Jose. I remember it like it was yesterday. Carbo's beside me. Mike Keen's across the table from him. I'm in a conversation over here, and I hear my name. Keener goes, "So, Carbo, what's the deal with Brenden and your daughter?" And I just hear, I perk up, and I hear him go, "I don't know. The kid does not have the balls." And so I'm like, okay, well,
Oh.
yeah, now it's game on. And so there was a conversation we had um, after that, but it was more, we're getting to playoff time. It's becoming a story in the news. And we sat down, we had a talk. Ken Hitchcock was involved, and it was not an issue on our part. The media and people in Dallas seemed to think it was a bigger deal. Guy and I were straight. There was no problem there. I had his approval, and so that's my version of how it all went down.
Yeah, that makes sense. Hey, listen, going back to Holly real quick, because you'd been around there, or actually, I guess you weren't there when he first got to Dallas,
Now, when
right?
he
He was
first got
there.
there, no.
Yeah, he was there. I was just curious how you kind of had this core group of players and how he just fit in right off the bat. Like, what was your initial impressions of him, though? When you first, because you said he was your favorite player, but then getting to know him personally, was he everything you thought he'd be, or were you like, this guy he's different? Like, I never met anybody like him.
So I grew up. I had 3 posters of him on my wall in my hometown. I got there and I kind of hated him. I hated him. He was hard. I mean, I gave him a pass one time, or he gave me a pass, a hard one. I had never got a pass that hard in my life. And it went under my stick down the ice for icing. And I turned back and looked at him, and he just dropped his shoulders and did that slow one leg kick, like, "Coach, why am I playing with this motherfucker?" And I was like, ouch, that hurt. Like, I didn't like him. He was hard. But as the season went on, spending more time with him, he's just, I mean, he is who he is, and I loved him for it because you knew where he stood. And now we're closest of friends. But what my first initial thought is, this guy's an asshole. I didn't like him, but I love the guy now. I absolutely love him.
He's the
Yeah.
best, man.
If you don't know him and you kind of get that vibe, especially when you're practicing and playing with the guy, like he'll give you that put his head down, put you on the spot, chirp you a little bit. So it's tough when you're young around him for sure.
Yeah. And I think he probably got to see more of my game and realized just because I was a high draft pick doesn't mean I had all this skill. I played hard, and he probably realized, oh well, he's not really a skill player. He's kind of more of a grinder, and he relaxed a little bit on me for my passing ability.
And Brendan, like we all had Brett Hall posters on our wall too.
Yeah,
Man.
dude.
You know what I'm
You're
saying?
damn right.
I did too, man. I used to write him like letters, like when I was like in school, like in detention or something
Yeah.
like that. I'm like, fuck, is he ever gonna write me back? I ran into him and Oates one time. They were having like beers or something at like a TGI Fridays, and I was like a little kid. I'm like, hey, I've written you letters, and you don't ever write me back. And he was like, well, when did you write it? Fuck, they don't give me the fucking letters. I'm like, he's like dropping f bombs. My mom's right there with me. He's the best, though. Hey, man, I got to ask you this. You're a young kid, you're coming up, and all of a sudden they come to you and they say, hey, listen, we want you to be the captain. Like Mike Modano, like a legend in Dallas, the most popular player there. Were you like, okay, or did you embrace it right off the bat? Like, tell me like what your reaction was and when you first talked to Mike about it.
It, it wasn't ideal. It was a little awkward, honestly. I know how going through it, arms Doug wanted to go in another direction. It was either basically you're going to accept the captaincy or no one's going to have it. So I guess from our point of view would it look better for someone to have it or for it to just be taken away and nobody have it, right? So I think Army just wanted to change the identity of the team a little bit, go from kind of Mike's. I guess he felt like the team identity would be representative of the captain, and he wanted that to be more of kind of my style of game than Mike's, and so I mean, ideally, it wouldn't have happened the way it happened for me, and because it was. I know Mike didn't want to relinquish it, so it was somewhat awkward. But Mike was, to his credit, Mike was the first one to congratulate me. Anything I needed, he was there to help. Just if you need anything, just come to me. So Mike was great, even though it was somewhat awkward that I knew he didn't want to give it up.
Yeah, I bet that was a little bit awkward.
But I mean, you were the obvious choice, though. Like for Army,
Yeah.
like to if they were going to make a change, and you had a great run as a captain, man, go down as one of the best captains in that franchise history. But I was just curious, man. That had to be like, it's got to be a little bit awkward, But at the same time, it's an honor, right? You got to look at it both ways.
Yeah, it was an honor. It was certainly an honor, but yes, it was optics wise. It's kind of more how I came to it was it would look better if somebody had the captaincy than if it was just to be taken away from Mike and no one have it. Optically, I felt like this was the better option. So that's why I was, I guess, a little more comfortable doing it, but it was still just awkward.
Hey, Crosby, what'd you think of him? And then you got to play with him for a little bit in Pittsburgh as a young kid, like the young Crosby. Like, what were your impressions? Like, were you hanging out with him and getting to know him a little bit at the Olympics?
I didn't have a ton of just personal interaction at the Olympics. Everyone was kind of together, and we were in the cafeteria as a team together. I think my impression was that he just couldn't miss. Like I'd go down and try to shoot on these goalies, and I'd hit him. I didn't have any room to shoot to score, and I just feel like everything he shot, he just didn't seem to miss. He'd shoot low. He'd pick a corner on Brodeur. He just everything was quick at a fast pace. I'd dust the thing off, stop moving my feet, shoot it. He did everything quick and I mean solid ass on him, low base. He'd be in the corner. You couldn't push him over. He wasn't a giant guy, but he had legs and an ass. You just couldn't move him.
Anybody that you got a greater appreciation for, like on that team, who you didn't really know a whole lot, maybe you didn't like you're playing with a guy like Chris Pronger, for example, like just seeing like how good like he is, for example, or any of those guys on that team, like anybody stand out?
I don't know, all of them. I think Shea Weber,
Yeah.
that bomb that he had and how strong he was, I thought he had a really good couple weeks there. And he was able, like, played with Sheldon Surrey, and I always thought he had no control over the puck, and I was scared this one's going to hit me in the face. Weber shot bombs, but he knew where they were going. He would keep them low. He was friendly to the guys in front of the net.